Not their main rosters, though, but still, I think we are in for a very good best of three.
Yeah, we've got Akron, we've got Fisher. Technically, they're JV teams, but it's still a Division One matchup, and both of them as well. They enter 1-0. And Goose, we can see the players down below.
Yeah, I think Fisher Falcons again, even with Annika on the roster, this is not their main. They also have Rushies in Tech Will. These are players that are very familiar with the tier 3, trying to make their way up into that tier 2 scene in the Siege. So I think it's going to be a very tough opponent for Akron Gold. And usually you don't hear us saying that about Akron and Siege, but anything is possible here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a really telltale matchup, I think, early on in the season that nothing against the teams that they played in week number 1, but this is going to be one of their biggest tests of the season. Let's get to check out, though, where we're going in terms of maps. We'll start out the day on Clubhouse. Bank will be number 2, and then Chalet will be our decider if necessary.
Yeah, I mean, this is the collegiate gauntlet of maps here. Club, Bank, Chalet. Maybe if you swap Cafe and Bank, it would have been perfect. But again, I think these are all, I don't want to use the word default maps, but maps that almost all of these players in both teams are very familiar with. So they're going to be able to play down to their bare bone basics. And then I think this is really going to be a great matchup for both teams. They're both 1-0. So one of these teams will leave here flawless. The other will take their very first loss for the semester. I think this is a really good map pool to test the skill level and the skill difference between these two teams early on in the semester.
I think more importantly, you look at that final selection, Chalet. It's actually the only map loss that Fisher has had this season so far. Lost in map number 2 just last week. So if it goes there, of course, you also saw the Fisher defense. That's not entirely true. It'll go down to round differential to who actually gets that side selection. We've got our first bans in, though.
Yeah, I see that Ace and Cade. I'm going to presume maybe a Mira, but more than likely a Therm and Bandit. I'm just waiting for it. Maybe they'll pull something different out, but again, Clubhouse. It doesn't matter what tier. It doesn't matter if it's collegiate. It almost always goes one way. And Castle and Habana. Okay, Habana makes sense. Castle, I also understand. So not fully leaning into that double breach denial. If you are Fisher, but nonetheless, I think Akron Gold going with a safe bet there.
Yeah, you deny some extra fortification potential, but as you mentioned, the Mira is going to slip through along with the Azami. So a lot of really big tools to kind of bend and break this site around you. We're officially in to map number 1. It is a reminder, it is a best of 3 here today. So got to win 2 maps, and of course, we're into it.
I overall really like this lineup coming out from Fisher White. It gives them a lot of flexibility, but also info. You have both that Deimos and the Dokkaebi on board. So whether you want to directly track a player or just use that sound call from the Dokkaebi. Again, breaking my rule of not talking about operators before op selection. But again, the same idea. You still have that Dokkaebi just being passed on to pass. But instead of the Deimos bringing out a Bravo, I really like that read because they understood not only are there belt cams on the board, but you also have those Maluzis with Crimson. So a lot of utility if Fisher White can just find this default.
Early shots coming through from Warrior and sensing out where this Fisher White team wants to kind of poke and prod. You mentioned the Thermite possibly going into that ban phase, but it does slip through as well. Those charges going to be there. Early entry going in towards that second floor. Fisher White, again, have a ton of time to really break this down. I like the early info that they were able to grab. But it's going to be, honestly, up to Warrior to keep those cameras up and going. The first Thermite charge is gone.
Yeah, there's also really nothing to deny these walls getting open. They're not going to be bringing that bandit instead, having that mute. So getting these walls is going to be really easy for Fisher White, and that's going to give him a lot of time rushes. Already taking a lot of space. He could find the entry, but Arv shuts him down. That's a gunfight you cannot win when you have the entire advantage. And another C4 with Warrior. He's not going to rip it just yet. Waiting for the call from his teammate or a sound cue. That's a really great start for the defense.
You get the early kill, you get the momentum to swing your way here, but for Fisher White, even though down a player, you talked about so much entry utility. They're going to be able to really open up whatever walls they so choose. And it's going to be Miz deeping in towards this extra bit of possession of space, grabbing that extra sight lines as they push through, but it's the C4 that blows one to heaven. Already 2 players down. Fisher White just can't win a gun battle.
Yeah, that is really worrying. Another one for Arv, and it's a 2v5 for Fisher. Almost no way into this round. No map control to speak of. Nonetheless, any info. 2 separate individual positions. Are they aware of Arv? They are. They do win the gunfight. Crimson with the refrag. It's a 1v4, almost an unwinnable position for Fisher White.
Health bar not full either. Can't go back to it, and just double stacking on top of each other, ready to go. This Akron Gold team survives 4 in round number 1, and they are victorious. Just early gunfight wins, a perfect placement of the explosives, and they've got their first offensive round on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that is a just phenomenal and dominant round for Akron. And it's not even kind of a sense where you can just say Fisher White was playing up against a clubhouse defense, which is difficult. They had little to no info or idea on where any of the positioning or the ideas coming from Akron Gold there were, even with all of that information in their pockets with both the Brava and the Dokkaebi on board. Weren't aware of the C4 below. They were aware of the player in that first initial gunfight, but they just didn't lose it. And it gives me the idea that so far they're a little bit antsy. A lot of those gunfights, you had players from the attack venture away from the rest of the team, get a little bit too antsy without the info or map control to back it up, and they lost their life, and there's no tradable value because there's no players around you. So I think it's something that is easy to stop if you are Fisher White, but it's also a play style that they could continue to fall in without knowing it's a problem for them.
And I think at the same time, you also kind of put that trust in one person. It really is such a mental game in Rainbow Six that if you lose that edge, if you start losing gun battle after gun battle, it can make you a little bit less aggressive and a little bit less towards that playstyle. But I like the changes here in Operators. They're bringing the RAM for some of that floorboard destruction, possibly opening up some of those different angles from high to low. And talk about breaching utility, they're ready to go. Laying down one of those floorboard destructors.
Yeah, you know, a lot more execution utility. You got, 4 grenades in the pocket of Miz and Annika, and then the flashbangs in the pocket of Pax. So I think it's kind of a really good telling site for me that Fisher White understands how to play each site differently utility-wise. Again, that's not a problem that these players have had. It's just team chemistry so far. Relatively a soft roam here. The only player on the top 2 floors is going to be Warrior, who is completely left alone. As Fisher White, they have no idea that this player is above. They're going to be sending a drone just to double check and make sure. If they misdrone this one player, Warrior could do huge damage if he can just time it right.
Warrior's in a great spot. Nika's going to go for the floorboard destruction as well to try and, again, open up high to low. Instead of just a direct engage, trying to pinpoint and pressure those different ideals. And the drone is clearing, and surely it's able to find Warrior here. Will get destroyed, that information gained, but Warrior's now ready to wreak some havoc, taking a headshot onto Rushies. A huge early kill for Akron Gold.
And another kill that is completely isolated. Nobody around Rushies to get that trade. And now not only do you lose that body, but you still have to worry about this player above while still trying to hit the site.
Trying to engage through dirt, but they are just getting bombarded with bullets, trying to clear it out. Warrior gets a double, already ripping them to nothing. Fisher White has to find a re-entry. Here's 3 headshots all day. Warrior have themselves around. Bass has only got a measly amount of HP. Shots will be good. Warrior is dead.
3 kills, 3 separate 1v1s. I talked about how Fisher White, they like to play very isolated, and they're going to continue to play isolated. A 4v2, 30 seconds left on the board. They do have the hatch open going into Armory, but they don't have the info, and they don't really have anything to push out these crosses with the defenders on site.
health is pretty terrible as well. Mira alive on the other side, 20 seconds to go. It's now or never. And Dengo's just ready to blow open every steam vent. Ready to burn down these health bars. Running out of time here is Akron Gold. Just play solidarity defense. Dengo gets traded out, but through the fire and flames will not save you. It's another crisp and clean round from Akron.
Yeah, and it's one that, in my opinion, again, I don't want to try and take too much away from Akron, but they didn't do anything crazy. And it's just the fault or the shortcomings of Fisher White. 3 separate 1v1s when you have live info. Hell, even a Deimos tracker on the guy, and you're still not able to get him until 40 seconds left on the clock. If you just have that info and you send at least 2 players, I'm not even saying you have to ISO that guy and give him a 5v1, but if you just have 2 players on him, you kill him, you have 2 minutes left on the board because there was nobody else on that top floor. That was a relatively default defense from Akron Gold. If Fisher just played it better with the info they had, it could have been a very quick and decisive round.
And instead, it's Akron Gold going back-to-back rounds to start out this map number 1. Again, is a best of 3. Fisher White still some time to cook up a game plan here, but still going with that heavy engaged Thermite with the Ash to trail behind it. But for Akron Gold, I mean, if Warrior keeps playing like they do, it is just going to be really hard to win. 4-1 so far. Tango's been involved. Crimson's been involved as well on the killing. So for Fisher White, they've got to be really careful. I mean, you lose this round, you're already down 0-3.
I really love this extension. All the way into bar and games from Akron Gold. I mean, you almost never see this on a cash and CC defense. Now, this does beg the question of, is Fisher White going to try and put some pressure on this position? But because it's so far away from the bomb site and you don't really have any useful map control or lines of sight, you can just almost ignore it and have a 5v3. Like, you can completely take control of Master Bed, and again, it's not going to have any effect whatsoever. It just simply relies on Fisher White playing into it, and so far, not only are they ignoring it, they're not aware of it.
Having that knowledge ever important. Akron Gold with still 2 more minutes to play the defense as shots ring through. The breakables. Passo trying to grab some. Yokobi going to activate and try and catch someone on a lingering cell phone call. Instead, Akron Gold, again, just playing solid, playing in towards what has been their system, their victory, and Warriors going to get dropped here early, downstate, finished off by NECC. It's the kill they needed.
Yeah, that's a really good opening. You also take that Azami off the board, and this forces Akron Gold to move their positions around. You still have to worry about getting that main wall open and then applying enough pressure to clear out Raptors to get that map control. Rushies, if he times this right with the info that he doesn't yet have, he could do some damage. Pass down below, trying to apply a little bit of pressure. But right now, they're just standing still. They aren't able to apply any pressure onto that Bandit.
For now, Bandit can be in trouble, but Rushies is going to take down Void, and immediately the curse comes through. That's 3 with a Rushies double kill to boot, and it's down to just 2 Akron Gold players. Now, time not on their side, and they don't have the players either. Fisher White, patience, and resolve. The shotgun's going to be pulled out. Already 2 kills for Tango as they look down the staircase. It's just damage, though. The position being closed on in. The shield coming from one side. Tango's got a headshot. How about 2? It's a double kill with still full HP to work with.
A 1v2 at that, a really good position here. The Monty's completely alone. Cass is rotating all the way into Raptors so they can play this cross. He needs to get rid of the Ash before he can play into the Monty.
2v1 with a shielded. 25 seconds to go on the clock here. Tango looking for the foots, but it's the barriers of the Azami that are actually working against him. Walk out to the open. Shotgun's no good. Fisher get their first round.
Almost a great clutch there for Akron on the defense, but it's Fisher to lock down that very nice and solid 2v1, playing that combo of the Ash on Raptors and the Monty right in the face of that mute perfectly. And now, because 3 rounds have passed, we get that extra 3rd ban for the very first half. A zombie being taken off the board. Thermite to triple down now on that hard breach denial. And I think both make a lot of sense. I don't think any team necessarily wins, but the problem now here for Fisher White is they're going to have to deal on those bomb sites where you have to get those main walls open. If we're talking about basement where you have to focus on the hatches, there's plenty of operators with those second hard breach chargers, the can openers. That's not going to be a problem, but a map or a site rather like gym and bedroom where you have to open those exterior walls like CCTV, you can even argue going all the way over into jacuzzi is going to be a problem because you only have those can openers. Sure, you can maybe bring a Maverick, but that's going to waste so much time. And rather, Fisher White is going to be leaning into a lot of that execution utility to help them guide their way into that bomb site.
Trying to find those mid-round swings, and obviously for Akron getting to talk about kind of the changes with that Azami not in the composition. It gives them a little bit less space into garage just because you don't have that extra coverage over the railing. Still a 2-1 lead for them here in map number 1. As a reminder, best of 3 here. Both teams 1-0 entering this matchup, and Akron Gold have been so far pretty solid on the defense, but I like Fisher White's just execution that last round, being able to go aggressive, challenge what they know and love, and I'll have to see if it works again.
Yeah, we saw that in the very first round. He's trying to hit that go button, 30 seconds, try to take that position inside of construction. Didn't exactly work out. You can see they're doing more of a full clear over by this garage and CCTV position, using Miz as that main spearhead. That mute jammer, though, is going to deny them from opening that wall. At least getting an opening allows them to walk through it. They do have the information on that Valkyrie roaming down below, but you got pass inside of stock to have that cut, and already a lot of pressure being dealt onto this defense, and they're respecting this attack very well.
Pressure though where's needed, like behind there shielded. That's always a good way to do a 2v1. Fisher White gaining some great space through CCTV with still 2 minutes left to go. Warrior has been so clutch in previous rounds and could be again. You talk about the mirrors on the wall from Void that could just isolate two ways and generate offense where need be on the defensive side. Akron Gold just letting them rip through these floorboards as nice little angle coming through. Harvest got maybe a shot, but the Do-Si-Do kills him. Rushies takes the headshot. It's a quick 2-for-1. Fisher White up a member and going quickly.
Crimson, he needs to be the one denying. It's Void, though, to get that quick answer back, but the nade, another one from Crimson, and it falls down to a 2v2.
8 combined kills between these two players so far for Akron Gold in the match. And ready to go for Warrior and Crimson. Just those side angles. All it takes is one bullet to rip you out from this round. And this is not one for Fisher you would love to lose if you just won that round number 3. Breaking the mirrors, breaking the one-way. Crimson still thinking of covering both B and A at once, but it's actually Pass who gets the headshot. C4 trades it, and we're into a straight-up 1v1.
And that drone have to give enough information to tell him when exactly Warrior goes up those stairs. He's trying his best to just simply bait the swing, but it's actually Warrior who gets the better.
The early trades, Warrior has the HP advantage, but the diffuser is going to go down maybe. Half the time on it, will get down. Couple traded shots there, and over the staircase, nothing works. It is going to be diffuser actually needed to be planted again every time. Warrior doing a good job of baiting, waiting, and pushing it forward. The diffuser down, but Warrior with a huge shot continues to rip down the HP bars. Rushy not out of the deep water yet and can play the timer of the diffuser here. With still 30 seconds left to go, so it's a lot of time to isolate the angle. Warriors pushing, not getting the trades they wanted, but it's just a country road stare down at noon. The high noon drifting over them as Warrior continues to push forward. Pulls out the pistol, but Rushies wins the one.
Oh, constant pings on that last Dokkaebi, but it's just not enough when Rushies is just simply better. Akron started off this map of Clubhouse with 2, and Fisher, they answer with 2 of their own. And a much better round from Fisher, understanding that they just needed to play together. Going for a full clear from CC and Garage over, clearing that space inside of construction. And for their own liking, Akron did give them a lot of respect, gave them a lot of that map control inside of Cache, which gave them time to get info on the bomb site, and then use, yet again, Rushies as that main spearheading. no Blackbeard. Actually, they did have a Blackbeard on the board, but not entirely the main point of attack in that round. But again, I think it is really a great example of Fisher having all the info. Info has not been a problem so far in this map. There's not been one round where they don't have consistent info. It's then playing off that info together. There was not one gunfight, aside from the 1v1, where a Fisher player was completely alone. They were always ready and in positions to get that trade.
That's a good adaptation from what was the first 2 rounds and some of those early trades from Warrior. Being able to bust open 1v1s. We go into round number 5, all deadlocked. 2-2 here. A little bit of a lookout from Warrior. Just trying to grab some information. We'll see a couple of feet walking by, but Warrior's got to make sure they don't lose themselves, quickly getting back to a safer position.
Yeah, taking a lot of chip damage off of Tech. Well, Warrior continue to play really aggressive in these early engagements. The drone is going to force him to play a little bit more passive, but Rushy's getting a lot of control. Arvs goes down. Warrior is taken out by NECC. Not entirely sure if Arv is in a position where he get picked up, but no, it's Techwill to finish him off. A C4 from Crimson isn't going to result in anything, not even a bit of damage. And Fisher White in an onslaught to start off in this very first minute.
Change up, going from slow tempo in the past few rounds to just everything towards the wall. Of course, but still those mirror walls does make it quite interesting to isolate some of the pathways and hallways that are in this map. For Fisher White, though, exactly the start you want. Sure, the health bars are damaged just a little bit, but you can work completely top down. And for Akron Gold, you've got to be careful, especially about that hatch being broken open. You've got to be watching all your angles now. You don't have a ton of information gathering tools. It's going to be all up to these players and their game sense, their communication to work these final 90.
Entire minute and 30 for Fisher White to get more info. They still do have a little bit of drones, only one more drone on the board, so not anything to really work out there. A really good effort from Akron to destroy that info gathering. It just comes down to the drop if they're able to get rid of either Crimson or the player Tango right next to him, and that's going to open the entire round. But Akron Gold, they need something going in this execution. Otherwise, Fisher's just going to walk all over them.
Got the player advantage, not the round advantage quite yet. Some fireballs lit across the ground along with fire extinguishers to disguise their entry. It's going to be Fisher on the push. Tango, a huge headshot, has been clutch in moments like this. On the Goyo can do some chip damage as well and really break them down before they even enter on in. And it's Pass who's just getting bombarded with shots, down to a 3rd HP. Has to look around the left side, but there's nobody there to help. NECC gets one. Crimson's is dead. But Akron Gold unable to trade. Void the only member left to go, but will be quickly traded as well. Fisher, 3 straight rounds.
Two-man advantage doing absolute wonders for them going into that execution. Playing off of each other's bodies. A huge drop there from NECC. And another big change that we've noticed from Fisher White ever since that 0-2 start is these individual players making huge hero plays, but then having success. Again, I spoke about it earlier. We saw that in the very first engagement, the first round. It didn't have success, but in this round, little to no information. They weren't able to get space into the bomb site, so NECC said, fine, I'll do it myself. Drops down in the site, almost gets her head taken off, but spins back, kills the player on boxes, and that opens up the entirety of the round for the rest of her team to drop down that same hatch and the player inside a box to then push in to Church. And now, yet again, Akron Gold, they could potentially have a 2-4 losing half on defense, but even if they do win it here, tie it up 3-3, that is still a huge win for Fisher, as a 4-2 defensive half is somewhat of a norm for Clubhouse.
10 seconds remaining.
Definitely is so, and Akron Gold started out so hot, so to be able to get those 3 kind of, I call them the burger rounds in between the 2 bun enders to get a nice bite here in towards map number 1, it definitely settles you into the day. For Fisher White, though, they want to bring into this one. It feels like going a little bit fast, but Akron Gold with a little bit of response. They've still got Warrior kind of on this Valk rotate possibility, but with that Azami banned away in the second round, just don't have as much control over Garage as they want. Rushies is already deep inside, and Warrior is dead.
That's another opening pick. We are now 6 rounds, and out of the 4 rounds we've had so far where Fisher have got that opening pick, 3 of them they've won. This one, they haven't won just yet, but if history does tell us anything, that it's going to be a very good setup. Arv with the C4 trying to get a kill. Doesn't even get a lick of damage. He's just going to have to fall off. As Fisher White actually are playing into that Mab trick. I really want to see if they get this open. This is probably one of the most difficult things to do on Siege, and they do it. Congrats.
Like it. Talk about skill practice, and Arv is going to show the practice on the shots with a headshot to TechWill. Fisher White, though, still in a 4-4 look. Under 2 minutes to go here as well. It's quite interesting that they've used a decent bit of their utility to just break open the CCTV server room. It gives you a lot of access points. And working off of a shielded character as well, you're really able to just walk together, walk as a gang, and take who you want.
Oh.
But Arv says, I'm going to take a double kill back. Anika is dead, and now Fisher White have to question if they really want to commit to this.
Yeah, and the big thing is they don't have Jacuzzi wall open. You have those Candels completely off the board as TechWill has felted. You don't really have any map control. You're going to really have to rely on the player going down below and Miz with this Blackbeard to just try and force your way near and into the bomb site, especially if the diffuser not in their hands.
Have to do a lot of work to pick it up. The good news is they've got 60 seconds and they've got 3 players. Problem is Crimson, who is just killing on the stairway. Russians never had a chance. The second one will, though. Pasoka's got the headshot back, and it's going to be a quick trade. That means less time, less players. Pasoka's got a double. Quickly turning the tide, making it into a 2v2, and giving them a possibility of the entrance. But boy, still, Arv is on a heater. Bash trying to end that off with some coolness.
Arvid Void, somewhat together. Pass is going to have to try and cover Miz as he tries to force his plan down, but just tries to take a little bit of space. Arv is going to punish him. They have a line ping on Miz. Sure, you do have that shield, but with all this information for Akron Gold, it's going to be a difficult one.
Just 10 seconds to get that diffuser on and no real space to go. Arv quadra kills in the round and just crisp, solid, and everything on the shots. Goose were all tied up as the swap hits.
Yeah, and as I spoke about before, throughout all tiers, both collegiate and amateur, going all the way up to the NAL, the Pro League for R6, a 4-2 is usually what defensive teams like and consistently do see on Clubhouse. And the fact that Fisher was able to just snag that one extra round, as now they get to swap onto their defense, it's going to do them a lot of wonders. And to be fair, I haven't seen Akron Gold on their attack. They could also be a very fantastic attacking team. But with the players on this Fisher White roster, it is going to be a very difficult defense as our bans look to be almost similar. Ace, Habana, also maybe going to see that castle again. But actually, it's a Monty Nazami. Opting to get rid of that shield, I actually really like that. Taking away that space-taking operator. Sure, you still do have Blitz, but a lot more exposed. And then a Zombie to remove a lot of that space creating with her Akiba barriers.
Yeah, especially through Garage and Warehouse, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly where Akron looks to spawn here to start out this round number 7. You know, this is a very important round as we talk about. Fisher had that streak of 3 rounds in a row. That Akron Gold round that they just won, round number 6. They hadn't won a round since round number 2. So I feel like momentum is up for the taking for either one of these two teams. And for Fisher White, like you talk about, just getting those 3 rounds is huge. But Akron Gold, they're here for a reason in Division 1 and they're ready to show us what they've got on the offensive side.
I really like this Alibi pick, because in the current meta of Siege, if you're not up to date or you haven't played in a while, she is next to useless, her ability rather, but her gun, still fantastic. Having a secondary shotgun allows you to fill a lot of holes, also allows you just to have a shotgun in your pocket. So I think this is kind of a pick where you're just giving a good player a good gun. And speaking about a good player, Rushies is looking to get really creative and active, trying to go for that pre-fire. Didn't have that window prep, so wasn't able to jump out, but still is going to apply pressure. Gonna get a drone with it as he falls back.
The Fenrir choice, especially for Rushies, feels fitting in their playstyle, where a bit more of a roamer. Early takedowns, though, from Void. Grabbing information and destroying utility pieces across the map feels good, but Warrior is actually going to take down Miz on a crossfire angle. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's a nice look there from Rusty's, but ending up losing a decent bit of HP, more than they would have liked, and seeing the drone on the other side, not quite the information you want to give away.
Yeah, just maybe one or two more shots, and Rushy goes down there from that Twitch drone. He's going to fall back down to site, is going to lose absolutely everything. He's not going to get that Twitch drone. He's not even going to avenge his teammate. And he didn't really waste a whole lot of time. Peckwell still inside a lounge down below, playing spoilers. A really good snipe there from Void on that Twitch drone to get that Mira off the wall. And really good ability here from Akron Gold to waste that utility, and Warrior is just shutting down these aggressive players early on the round, and they even have info on the castle roaming up top.
Crimson has got this locked down and sees the head. Won't actually be able to take the shot in time. Actually, Pass is going to take down Warrior on a quick 1-2 headshot, and Warrior's kill streak is shut down. Now, Fisher White is down a player. We talked about that extra barriers they're able to create, not only the Mira, but also through this look. I mean, what a burst there. Arv able to take down both NECC, while Pass falls down low as well. Fisher White, although they've got 3 players standing, the health bars just don't look good. Arv, always there to back up the team, will take down Pass, and another kill will go to Arv. Make it 3. No, it'll be quickly traded, but Tech Wheel has too much on their plate, and it's Akron that wins this round.
The theme of a attacker-sided, or at least a very even-sided clubhouse, will continue on. Fisher White falling back into their individual playstyles, going for a lot of aggressive swings. Aside from that first kill from the Bandit, he was just trying to get that trick. They didn't fully realize that that first player, being Warrior, had fully pushed into top Raptors, loses that kill, and then the Bandit trying his best to get that refrag, but he isn't able to get it. He also loses his health. But a really good job from Akron to just hold his crossfires, allow for Fisher White to be the aggressor, understanding that they were continuously forcing those gunfights when, in my opinion, they didn't need to, and Akron Gold played into that perfectly. And yet again, after Akron get 2 rounds in a row, it's going to be up to Fisher to change their own playstyle, and in a sense, this entire map so far has been in their hands of how they play.
Got to make those changes. Got to be ready to go here into round number 8. As Akron Gold with just a single round lead here, trying to put themselves 1-0 up in map count. As a reminder, starting here on Clubhouse, we'll go to Bank as map number 2, and then Chalet will be our finisher, decider, if necessary. And not only is it important to win maps, but Goose, just in case it does go to that decider, map differential is also very important.
Fisher White falling down to this basement bomb site. Again, you're going to be seeing a lot of the same operators. Rushy's trying to get aggressive. He just sees the head of Arv as he gets on that chain repel. He doesn't want to take that gunfight. He's going to be falling back with his teammate NECC. You can see the effort from Fisher White. They don't want to give up this control. They don't want Akron to have complete control on this first floor. NECC making her way up. No drones or player necessarily stopping her, but she has to be careful of Arv on that chain repel. She's just waiting for enough information. Throws the C4 out. Doesn't even get a flick of damage onto anybody. But NECC, he's taking control all the way up onto the 2nd floor. She could do a lot of damage here.
This is a really good spot. Just being able to guard onto the hatch, being able to, like you said, just the unknown position, the lurker in the shadows to cause some chaos. NECC so far today, 4 kills on the map, trying to improve on that factor, get back to positive. Warrior sees a body there. Look for some Ash utility to extra burn him down. Miz will suffer about half the health bar worth of damage. Warrior, nice little pincer play. It goes awry, though, as NECC is able to take him down through the wall, through the storm here. It's a nice little stairway pinch, and they've got all 3 players in one room. Arv is down dead, and Fisher White calls their bluff perfectly. Running out of resources, running out of time, and realistically running out of space. What a shot through the wall.
Yeah, you want to let up. You don't want them to get both of those kills back. Not aware if NECC's fully fallen. Uzi almost exposing himself. Akron still really trying to go for this execution as Annika falls down, but Void gets Miz, and that's a 3v3 on the site.
Of the changeup. Akron Gold losing a member though in the re-entry. They're down to 45 as Crimson's is able to trade it back quickly. Extra Minds can deal some damage here in the late game scenario. Drop down, kill, 1 for 1. You've got to be kidding me. Left in another clutch scenario. Annika's got the health advantage. It doesn't have the lane. Crimson prediction works out.
And that's 2 rounds in a row where Akron is able to most perfectly read this positioning. Specifically the retreat from Fisher White. I mean, that is just really impressive there from Akron. A 5v3. And to be fair, those 2 players upstairs did really overplay their hand. As soon as you get that 5v3, either you try to play back, force that attack to go even deeper into that first floor instead of giving those easy gunfights, especially on those pre-fires. Hell, maybe even go back down to the bomb site. But with all those mistakes we made in the previous round, Fisher saying to themselves that we liked what we had. We understood that we had a really strong advantage. Just kind of let it slip through their hands. Going back down to the same bomb site. Hopefully, playing relatively similar. I liked how aggressive they played, especially when they were retaking that space in that mid round. It's just about when you get that advantage, you don't let it slip. And you understand when you need to play passive.
And caught in the cookie jar. No sweets for you today if you go too aggressive. Fisher White down 2 rounds now. Akron Gold looking really good at just forcing those positions, as you mentioned. But those similar bomb sites, it'd be interesting to see what Fisher White wants to do this time. Here's a kill. Rushes from long range. Able to take down Crimson's out of bounds.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need if you're Fisher. Not only that opening pick, because every round, all 3 of the rounds that Fisher White have won, they got that opening pick. Akron Gold, you could say the exact same thing, all 5 rounds, aside from that last one in the first half. So, getting that first opening pick is very important for both of these teams, but especially getting that Ram off the board. There's little to no soft breach denial for this vertical. Sure, you still do have Warrior with those hard breach charges in their pocket, but, I mean, that takes so much time. You're also not able to cover as much space, and you lose a player. Rushy's going to fall back down the bomb site perfectly. Exactly what I talked about before. Getting that kill, falling back, understanding when to play passive and not overplaying their hand.
And Fisher White, of course, those nightmares in that last round. Lost the 5v3. Do not want to repeat that again. Especially, though, without Crimson's, who not only you talk about adding the Ram for all that soft destruction, but a player that has 9 kills. Leading the team is no longer in one of these late round scenarios. It's just about 100 seconds left to go here as Fisher White still looking. Drone going to be destructoed. So now it's just the information that Akron Gold will have to work with.
Full 5-man heavy bomb site for Fisher here. Also haven't been able to clear this Mira on the church wall. That's going to be a lot of difficulties for Akron. Warrior's trying his best to use that ass canister to get rid of it. They also don't have that box hatch open just yet. And it's Void to get an answer back very late in the round, but that's an even 4v4 for Akron as they move to try and get that plant down.
Void back into positive. In towards this beat round number 9. Ahsoka is going to be taken down low, but it's actually Tango dropped to a headshot here as the work up the stairs from Rushies. Warriors losing each other. Nice little Tango.
Oh, what?
Deciding to go for a couple missed shots there, and Warrior takes advantage on a headshot. Magazine just got away from him, and now all of a sudden it becomes a very doable 3v3. Walking in, taking space by storm. Arv's got another kill. The long lane will be covered though. Annika is going to watch this one. Omai on the lurk, looking for some extra damage. The diffuser's going to go down here, and Arv has got another incredible headshot.
A 1v3. Rushes even leaves the lobby. He said, that's enough for me. Is Void to finish it off. That's 3 rounds in a row. It did look when Rush retook on those stairs. Yeah, his ping was 400. I mean, the guy was shooting left to right like he was playing a mouse-to-click adventure. So, it's difficult. We're going to go to the bans, then we're going to go to Cams. Hopefully, we don't need a rehost. Hopefully, we can just wait for this player to get back in. But, I mean, that's such a difficult situation. If Rushes gets that kill, maybe a second, even just with that kill, and they get the trade, that's the round over, in my opinion. You lose all that momentum. But that's not what happened. Akron Gold, they got that kill, a very easy one at that with that misfortune, and they get an advantage going into that execution. Panning a Valkyrie and Blackbeard off the board, and it is looking dire. Even without that disconnection, that was relatively a difficult round because you get that first initial pick, you have that advantage, but then yet again, Akron is able to find a way to claw back that kill and find an even man count.
Akron has been so good about that. I mean, you talk about just solo efforts, being able to work as a team towards that central objective. And really, what you talked about from the beginning, what Fisher was lacking is just somebody behind you to back you up on some of those pushes to trade if you fall. It feels like every single time Akron enters into a gunfight, they've always got someone right behind them. The old buddy system, as we love to call it.
Yeah, and I talked about how even with that 3-3 half, Akron could be a fantastic attacking team, specifically on Clubhouse, and they are. I mean, it's not even just the simple fact of Fisher falling short, making huge mistakes, having these leads and then letting it slip. It's actually Akron going out of their way to claw back these players, force these kills onto a lot of defenders from Akron, or not Akron, but Fisher, that aren't really expecting for those engagements, or at least to happen as quickly as they do. And so far, no timeout on the board. They do get a technical pause, so get to stop that momentum, take a little bit of a breather. But again, they need to really change up how they play because their ability to switch on that passive to aggressive mode and play around these Akron players just simply is not there. And the attack is taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and it feels like they're just trying to bunker down. It feels like at some points, not necessarily executing some of those further ventures out into different parts of the clubhouse, just saying, we'll trust our gunfights. And then they're like, oh crap, there's 4 players running at our face. How are we supposed to trust our gunfights now? So I think, like you said, changing the game plan, I think one of the nice things, it's also not a best of 1, it's a best of 3. So even if you aren't able to win here on this map, there is still time to change it down the road. Now, Fisher, we go back to what was their week number 1 matchup. They actually did get the victory, but it was also in 3 maps. They won map number 1 and map number 3.
Yeah, and I think, going into these last couple rounds, potentially maybe even our last round, it is really up to Fisher to just have more information. Problem is, though, that Valkyrie's off the board. That is a lot of easy information, as I call it. You could still potentially have a Mozzie, but you're still not going to be able to place it almost anywhere. So I think it really is up to Fisher to then deny the info from Akron. Because if that's what Akron is doing, you play into their game, and then you force them to go into a lot of these engagements, especially in the mid to late round, with little to no information, because that's something that Akron has had a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, they've had plenty of information. They've had plenty of those gummed fights, but also you look at some of the ban changes that Akron bans away this Azami and saying, we're going to be able to take so much more space if they aren't able to play those weird Azami barrier angles. If we can just isolate in towards those hallways, trust our free fire, and not have to play off angles every single time, it feels like that's much stronger than what was a Monty shield ban that may or may not be used further on. So Akron, it feels like in their zone right now. But I mean, this is kind of like a tactical timeout, like you said. This sort of teams can talk it over, get a chance to really breathe, and then execute into what is going to be round number 10 after this.
Yeah, sadly, though, hopefully it's not a rehost, but we're going to be taking a little bit of a quick technical break on our end. We should be back shortly, so don't go anywhere far. We're back, and I'm alive. Llama, he's gone. I don't know where he went. Hopefully, I could get Time to Light to find him. But in the meantime, it's just me and all of you beautiful people. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, Akron Gold, 3 rounds in a row to start off their attack. Fisher White on that struggle bus, to say it the least. 2 rounds in a row. 2 previous rounds were on that basement church. An armory bomb site, no effect there, so like the very first defensive round they had, they're going to be going back up to the gym and bedroom. One of the main things that I've said about Fisher and what they need to do is understanding when to change their pace. In that early round, they really love to play aggressive. Just like the last round, they got that opening kill, but then when it comes to that mid point to the round right before they go for that execution on the bomb site, that is when Fisher starts to drop bodies, and that's when they have to be really careful. Rushies, who had to reconnect because of connection issues, is still having those connection issues, and he is currently not only the best player, but the most proactive player so far. So that is going to be a very dangerous thing, especially when you have to go flawless. You cannot have one round falter, as all Akron needs to win this very first map is just one. Keep in mind, it is a best of 3. So if Akron win here, Fisher lose, they're not completely out. There's still at least one more map. But I mean, so far it's been everything but the Akron show. A lot of space being taken here inside of Raptors. It's just NECC for right now. Warrior's going to do that easy job of shooting those bandit casters off. And it actually sounds like my co-caster's back. Oh no.
Up on that, but I'm here and ready to go, so.
There we go. Hard with an opening. That's another opening kill for Rushes that he loses. Difficult sight.
Interesting to see this little 5v4 startup with only still 90 seconds left to go. Lots of time, lots of space here still to push for Akron. Rushy's going to get dropped out of the game again.
It's difficult. NECC in a position to do a lot of damage here. Doesn't look like Crimson is fully aware of her position. Completely wedged herself in between everybody. It's passive. Get one. A swing out from NECC. It does result in a kill. Arv tries to catch her off, finds the head of NECC, and gets that even 3v3. A minute left on the board. Akron Gold is able to recover from what could have been a catastrophe.
There's a 3v3 now as well, and they've got so many of the players that have been critical in the late round scenarios. One interesting question is going to be what they kind of do with Warrior, where they put him. Destruction of information there. Fisher White giving it away with 45 left to go, and you see the escapism up through the warehouse steps, and a nice shot there to take down TechWill. It's a cut down from Void, and this push is going beautifully for Akron Gold. I mean, at this point, you've only got one more player to clear. I wonder if Fisher White just kind of steps off instead. Warrior catches him in the crossfire, and Pasakoa is the only one left to go. Takes a headshot onto Warrior, but at this point, they know your position. Diffuser is going to be picked back up and laid down.
1v2, that bomb is going to go down. No info for Pass here. He's going to go for the swing on the bathroom, but it's Void on the cut in Highway. And it's Akron with 4 rounds in a row after that side switch to take the very first map.
Plain and concise. I really loved what their offense was able to do, but more importantly, kind of laying the groundwork, setting those 3 rounds for themselves on the defensive side. Like you mentioned, usually the defensive a little bit better in terms of round advantage, but it was the Akron offense that really stepped up for that map number 1, showed they could really play together, and that's what's most important, not just a single player, but playing as a team. And you know, the good news, at least for Fisher, is the series is not over for them quite yet.
But it is looking like it might lean in that way. Rushy's continuing to have those connection issues. And speaking of connection issues, we're going to let them figure that out. We're going to let them solve that. We're going to take a quick break as we get map number 2 ready. Don't go anywhere far.
Welcome back to the NECC week number 2. We're here for some Rainbow Six Siege action. It's Llama and Goose up here on the desk after what was an Akron dominance on the attacking side after they 3-3'd after the swap. Goose, what are you thinking as we head to Bank?
I think going into Bank, especially with how this map plays, you have to be active on the defense. A 3-3 attacking half for Fisher, phenomenal. Above average, you couldn't ask for more, but when they switched onto the defense, they got a little bit of what I like to call the couch potato-itis, where nobody really moves around in that mid to late round, and it's essentially just cones waiting there for Akron to shut them down. You did have one player on Fisher who was trying to retake space, that being Rushies, but the problem is he couldn't play the game. Constantly lagging out in those last 3 rounds, and it really did show. You did have Annika try her best to make up, but with nobody supporting her, it was almost always an isolated position that Akron easily dealt with, usually in a 2v1, maybe even sometimes a 3v1. So going on to this, I think they either need to have a different game plan, because you can't really rely on one person to win you an entire defensive half, or they force other people on their team to be more proactive.
Being able to generate some sort of offense and working together, I feel like establishing that game plan and just getting everybody on the same page is what Fisher really needs to do. And obviously looking at that map ban, getting to see Chalet, that'll be our decider if need to be. And of course, it's a round differential that actually decides who gets the map pick, so to say, of which side they would rather have if necessary. Now, important to say, as we mentioned, Fisher, they entered this week 1-0, but last week actually lost that map number 2 on Chalet, and the stats were definitely not favoring them. So not only do they have to win here, but they've also got to remove the nightmares of last week, and Akron is just looking so good, but all that can change in just a few rounds.
Also to continue to build this matchup, also keep in mind that both of these teams are currently flawless. One team will continue on that road, and the other will fall down 1-1. Not so bad, but you do want to continue to have that moniker of not losing any games, especially against, these are probably 2 of the tougher opponents in this group. A lot of really great teams going forward that these guys are going to have to worry about. But again, I think going into the second Bank, even if it does end up to be Akron, if we see some strives, some, I guess you could say, improvements from Fisher, then you could call it a really good day, because I think Clubhouse, especially after that 3-3 split, was not exactly what they wanted.
Trying to change it up here on map number 2. And Bank, as you mentioned, is where we will go and into the banning phase. Fisher must win this map and the next one if they want to win the series. To make it a successful day, though, much different, as you mentioned, on the to-do list, generating some offense. Mira, Ace, the first 2 taken off the board.
Bank is really funny. Almost all 3 of these maps are really funny, because a lot of these bans are just completely default, and it's not a sense where these teams don't have a good idea of what they're doing. It's like, if you don't do these bans, one side is going to be really difficult. Like, if you don't ban these ranged attackers, not Habana, sticking with that Azami Monty ban. I'm sorry, I'll back down. I don't know everything. But if you don't ban these ranged hard breach, at least one like an Ace or Habana, it's going to make it really difficult to defend. If you don't get rid of these operators that can create a lot of space for the defense, like that Mira that can give you a really long line of sight, the Azami that can cut off lines of sight for the defense, it's going to be really hard to attack. So if you're somewhat new to Siege, when you hear me or other casters speak about what we call somewhat default bans, it doesn't mean that these teams are default in a sense. It's just, if you don't ban these operators and you don't have an alternative plan, it's going to be really difficult for you in the map.
Yeah, they generate so much power just on a base level that it makes it hard to play around or have a lot of great things in their kit to be able to disrupt your own game plan. Either way, we're starting into map number 2 on Bank. Akron Gold on their attacking side, Fisher White on the defense to start things out. And I really like just kind of the differences that Akron Gold are going to bring. Instead of just that soft breach action, they've got a lot of close range strikers that can be able to generate what is their 1v1 gunfights. Remember, back to map number 1, round number 1, round number 2, they were won basically solely just from solo efforts.
Yeah, I really love this focus from Akron. Full clear this top floor. You got somebody on the window. You got Crims clearing the space with the Deimos. You have a drone in front of him. And what do you know? It's Rushies trying to retake some space and apply pressure. They don't immediately have info, but actually they do. Single yellow ping is going to push both of these defenders back down to that first floor. Akron, with under a minute, have control of this top floor, but you still have to worry about open area. Still have to worry about this first floor. It actually looks like the defense is completely vacated.
Really pushed him away and done a good job of isolating from a top-down mentality. Just clearing out the cubicles, gathering information now, and just pushing through these open hallways. Crimson's, it'll be interesting to watch what kind of game they have. For Akron was one of the leading killers of that last set of maps. Warrior up there in the leaderboard as well. As they walk through the lobby, though, Rushies is just going to go for a little bit of extra clearance, try and garner some extra information to give over to the team. Void has got a really nice angle in case anybody overextends.
Yeah, again, just simply this phantom pressure that is haunting Akron. They don't have 100% info. There's Rushies with the opening kill. Annika also making her way up blue stairs. In Akron Gold, they don't have an immediate answer. An impact there's also going to get rid of those Habanas on the hatch. A really difficult time here on Bank to start things off for Akron.
You lose one, you still got players, and players have been... There's been the flex for so long for Akron. Flash goes out, kill goes in from Rushies. What an incredible 1-for-1 look there. Nice little trade on down. Crimson's will get the finish on that kill. It is just a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but through the hatch, Crimson's just trying to find every angle. They've got so far to go, only 50 seconds to do it.
They don't have anybody inside of CC. Nobody. You don't even have the time or positioning to rotate somebody into garage. I mean, this is going to be a really difficult plan, in my opinion, and near impossible. I mean, it's going to take a really long throw from Fisher to lose this defensive round.
25 to go. Players in the hands. Akron Gold searching for them to overextend. They've got the diffuser. They've got members, but the time is now. Finally, the impact will go on through, disrupting the wall. Searching out. The bees are ready to sting them down. It's a setup play with the shotgun around the wall. The shots don't connect, though. Diffuser down, needs to be popped, but it won't. It's a 3-for-1 trade that earned Fisher White round number 1.
Yeah, I talked about how Fisher on the defense needed to be really proactive, and that is the definition of how they won that first round. Rushies doing a lot of work. And to be fair, even though nobody else got a kill on that roam and it was just all him, he did have help with an additional player, that being Annika, applying a little bit of pressure so they couldn't have all of their focus onto that Vigil. But more importantly, Vigil's main ability took away the consistent information game that Akron had there on map 1. That's also a little bit of a detail I talked about that Fisher needed to focus on. And whether or not it was purposeful or it was just kind of a result of their play style, it is there. And now, yet again, for the very first time for a while, it's Akron who needs to try and change things up. Annika hiding in that corner with the Clash, trying to hide away so Fisher, or Akron rather, don't know that she's brought this shield out, and that could be a really huge play.
Like the ability to change things up. Shielded characters can obviously bring you some different angles to just re-encroach on as well, and for Fisher White, they've got the first round advantage. I like how as well in that last round you talk about phantom pressure that they aided in bringing, even though Akron Gold had just cleared out all the top floor, almost all of that second floor as well, just able to really put more pressure on them. Fisher White, though, this time we'll have to look what the engage looks like as Akron Gold amongst the plants with some of their drones to garner some extra information. And really like the ability from Void as they've been able to kind of combo with Crimson's and Warrior to win those 1v1s. No chance to take 1v1s in that last round. It is now just those side peeks through the small barrier entry.
Yeah, a lot of early work here from Akron, just playing around these windows, trying to get rid of utility. And you have that Blackbeard. But yet again, I really wonder how they're going to play around Annika. But it doesn't matter if Rushies is still causing havoc. Crimson is going to come into contact with that Clash Shield. It's going to be double, tripled up. A second for Rushies. He just slips away, but Arv isn't able to slip away from tech.
Arv's on a double kill now. So many times throughout today has been the clutch factor, but now without that diffuser, we'll have to just look on. Good damage there into the downstate. This will be a triple kill. Arv absolutely layering members down. NECC's going to drop the shield. Try to play a two-way angle and through the window. Shots are traded. Nobody falls quite yet. Both were low on ammo and had to hit that reload. Again, two-way angle, as we mentioned, has to garner both of those ideas. NECC and Pass both working together. Arv is dead, and NECC just blows open the round, gives Fisher 2.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching NECC for about a year and a half, 2 years now. She's made quite a statement in collegiate, even has ventured her way into Tier 2 with Element 5, then playing the collegiate event in the summer. So she is a player that, more importantly, is probably one of the best up-and-coming gap spotters, being able to individually spot these gaps and then take advantage of it, and results with a lot of multi-kills. It's not just one single kill, fall back down to the bomb site and call it a day. It's usually 2 to 3 kills, which creates even more impact for her team. I talked about how we needed somebody to be proactive. Rushies was one of them. NECC is continuing that theme on to round 2 as we now venture on to round 3.
Especially on a defensive side where we kind of criticize Fisher for not being able to get out, being able to open up some of those longer angles, and just burning down time. One of the delayed factors that's sometimes not even thought about is just ripping that time clock. You go back to round number 1, Akron Gold truly just didn't have the time to work with, or even the players for that matter, because of those early kills. And talk about Rushies up to 4 kills now. NECC up to 3. 7 combined kills between the two of them. They head into round 3 defense.
NECC really feeling herself. Fully running out. Garage there. Isn't able to get a kill. Also doesn't lose her life. So, you know, not necessarily that bad. Akron Gold understand that they're in the back seat, that they need to try and take control here on the bank. They're going to be trying to play really quick and aggressive because there is no presence for this defense. Not going to be really punished. Matter of fact, they're still setting up this extension all the way into Archives. Crimson already getting a little bit of sights, but Warrior and NECC trade. Your buck for a two-brow. Honestly, somewhat of an even trade there.
And it's both those factors as well, even though Warrior here in the second map hasn't been as decisive in getting those kills. So often it seems like we see Warrior's name pop up in that kill feed. Fisher White, though, I mentioned losing player. It's going to be on the Rushies to maybe pick up some of that clutch factor. They've also got Asakoa on that Valk. Possibly bring some heat as well. Akron under 2 minutes to go here. Really encroaching through the stairway, it feels like. Just trying to put pressure on that dual lane, moving up and down, guiding themselves into a top-down way of entry.
An even man count so far, but it doesn't even really matter about all this power on the side of Fisher. You have to worry about all this utility. Arv almost caught Rushies as he was pushed out by that nade, but he's able to actually catch his head. Fisher, they claw back that man advantage by 1. And now with a minute on the clock, still an extension all the way into Archives. Not a whole lot of info. Tango almost catches one off guard, but they just slip by into the bomb site.
A huge shot there from Void. It ends up being a headshot, but it's the quick turnaround. 2 for nothing. That's the cash money for Fisher White. They've got it stacked up, playing with house money. All they've got to do is just chill out, not give Crimson's the chance to get 3 kills, where Crimson's hasn't scored a single one yet so far in this matchup. Destroying and devising a plan. Those shots are going to be heard entirely around the map. But with only a $50 left to play on the board, it's just a quick kill from Rushies. The headshot seals the round.
A really great round. And honestly, going to these transition points of the rounds for the defense, I talked about how specifically that mid to the late round where Akron has that setup to hit the site, and when they start to actually go into the bomb site, that's where Fisher started to falter. That's when they started to lose their players. But now that's when they're thriving. That's where Akron is starting to dwindle down, is once they actually go for that hit, they're not ready for those crossfires, those on-site defender positions, and they're punished for it. Both teams taking out very powerful operators, doubling down on that hard breach denial with that Habana, and taking away a lot of info from Fisher, understanding that is one of their strong suits. And the main spearhead, you could say, they've been using for these roams, relaying that information to rushies and players like NECC, taking that off the board, especially on such a big map with a lot of open spaces like Bank. Getting rid of that Valkyrie is really good. And that Habana ban, it's kind of like, you know, it's a must. Yeah, it's going to make getting these hatches open a lot harder, especially with that 2 morale still on the board. Cade? Really?
Yeah. Not banned, so it falls in here to the Fisher White composition, and I love it. I also love, you talk about for Akron Gold, bringing the Okabe, that ability along with Ash. You talk about breaking open the hatches is going to be something important.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh, Dokkaebi, Deimos, and a Jackal. Man, I mean, Rushies has really done mental damage. 7-2.
Yeah.
7-2. I mean, again, I talked about how you can only do so much as a single player, but I mean, he's just gone above and beyond here on Bank, and he's still able to get the opening. That's the Deimos off the board. He's gonna fall back. He doesn't need any more. Void's not even at a spawn. Are you kidding me?
Just the timing is not favorable. Fisher White, you talk about mental gymnastics to jump from a 7-3 loss. Now Back Warrior just finds NECC lacking. Working down the stairway now with so much space left to go for Rushies. You talk about the ability to look. No Warrior says bye-bye. Cherry Pie double kill going their way.
I was going to talk about all the information they brought, but, I mean, 2 players without their headsets on. That's all it really takes for Akron to get a lead going into this 4th round. That's the entire roam also off the board. Both hatches also open. So it looks like even with a Cade on the board, they wanted to have that heavy roam, have both of those players fall back down to the bomb site. Warrior for a 3rd in the round. I mean, he's just pulling these out of his pocket like a magician with a rabbit in his hat. And just like that, halfway into the round, it's a 2v4 for Fisher.
Started so strong. And now has fallen to the wayside here. They get these pincer positions.
What?
Warriors got 4. Doesn't get the penta. But still an incredible, irreparable amount of damage already done. All Miz can do is watch as things burn alive around them. Fisher White, just still so much time still left to play this defensive effort. And this is something where Akron Gold, they can go slow, smoke it out here, take the shots as well. Diffuser's going down, and Miz just can't find the space. Crimson, final kill, seals the 1st round victory for Akron.
A very curious round, to say the least. Those 3 first initial players just asleep at the wheel. To be fair, though, they have been taking that CO position very quickly. Under 30 seconds every round, they've already entered and cleared all the way up to meeting. So, NECC not being ready for that position, I understand. But Rushies, your teammate just died above you. And you also have a headset, and you can hear. So, I'm not exactly sure what happened in that round. Fisher also saying to themselves that if we can just chalk that one up, we're going to go back down to the same bomb site. And I'm being a little harsh because we haven't seen that. That hasn't been a constant, that Fisher just have no idea that this attack has been moving so fast. They have been aware. They got 3 rounds in a row. Rushies was 7-2, 8-2 before he died. So I think it's kind of a thing where they just did, you know, let their foot off the gas just a little bit, but props up to Akron for taking advantage of that.
And it feels like Warrior especially, I mean, a quadra kill is going to basically seal any round, but the know-how to work off of that stairway, to be able to not turn that into a 2v1 at any point was just really incredible, and almost hit the penta had they not died on that bottom floor. Now Fisher White has to try and respond to that. The good news, they're still up 2 rounds in the overall scheme of things. But with the swap coming in 2 more rounds, would love to get a 4th.
Yeah, you want to get as many as you can once you switch on to that attack. One thing we haven't really talked about, one thing I haven't given props to Akron is their ability to move around all of this utility. Fisher has been playing a really heavy utility lineup, especially on these extensions away from the bomb site. You can see that Fisher is trying to play a lot more passive. Gonna get scanned. Already in a position to drop down. Arv, though, catches Rushies. Punishes him for not falling back, but that is going to send NECC down that hatch all the way down to basement. That is that open kill, and in part, the top floor in the control.
Extra information from the Deimos as well. Really good work from Akron to just start this one out, take down what has been a nuclear bomb of a clutch factor on the other side, and trying to roll their way to back-to-back rounds right before the swap. Double breaching charges going through to try and deliver some boom down the hatch. And of course, with the site right below him, that's a lot of space to watch over for Fisher. They've also got control of the stairs from Akron. They've just got so much space, crossfire angles for days. NECC is going to have to go huge here.
Yeah, she's in a very pivotal position, and as Akron continue to dwindle their time down, they don't have 100% information, just focus on getting rid of these Goyo canisters, remove that time-wasting capability. Pass tries to get a fast one on Warrior, but he's able to shut them down.
Warrior's been so solid. 6 kills now, just 4 rounds. Move down here, though. NECC again has a chance to go huge. 10 bullets in the magazine. It's going to be Miz reloading down the other side, and Void just takes the headshot, ripping the round to pieces, into tatters of what it already was. Tech is dropped as well into the down state, and Miz just had no chance. Akron earns himself a flawless round.
The very first of this best of 3 also. I mean, if you thought the round before that was good, Akron did us one better. And just when we thought, or at least when I thought, that Fisher was going to start to run away a little bit on this defense, Akron says, not so fast, playing into these aggressive, not even lurks. I mean, that was a really heavy hold inside of open area. They made themselves known with all of that utility, plenty of drone information in that early round. They got a really nice kill, Arv onto Rushies. NECC tried to play her position, tried to draw that attention, purposely waiting to throw down her tuber canister until she was scanned, so the attack knew where she was, so they were forced to deal with her to buy the rest of her team a little bit of time, but in turn, it gave time for Akron to deal with her. If she got that kill on top blue, was able to continue to play spoilers, it would have been a different story, but that's not what happened.
Different story. Akron Gold were able to really hold the pen and decisively take that one. Especially with Warrior now up to 7 kills, having a heck of a game. Arvin Tango, the quick swap right before the action phase begins. And Fisher, they just need to be able to work off of that information just a little bit better. Would hate to go into that sort of the second half after the swap on a 3-3 after you started just so cleanly. Your team was playing good, and I feel like part of this does come down to Rushies. Are you going to be able to really get the effort that you want on this Warden operator, or is it another early shutdown that Akron Gold could take advantage of?
Yeah, past 2 rounds that Akron have won also is when Rushies was shut down and Akron was able to get that opening pick, continuing on how important that first kill is for both teams, not only just for Akron. So I think going into this, obviously, Rushies, you want to continue to play aggressive. You don't want to play passive, but it's Pass finding himself on the wrong end of Warrior's gun. As Akron, yet again, 3 rounds in a row now, get that opening pick, and no immediate clawback from Fisher White. So that pressure is going to continue to mount for them.
Incredible operator to take out of the mix as well. Akron Gold just able to force their effort through all of these windows that have just been shattered open. NECC is on the watch with just a slight ward on the other side. You wonder when Akron Gold actually want to pull the trigger, because there is a limited amount of time. Nice shots from Arv. The trigger pulls earn them the 2nd kill of the round, and it's going to be a 3rd coming through Void. 3 different players, 3 different kills, and now Fisher White. We talked about the time limitations. All of a sudden, that does not become a problem. Rushies is going to have to go crazy. Arv makes it a 5v1. The Warden must do it all. Their position is known. The fire is lit. And at this point, Akron Gold can even get in to try and set down the diffuser as well. There's just no space to play for Rushies. They're going to try and play it out with a reload of the magazine, but it's back-to-back flawless rounds for Akron Gold.
I mean, this has been such a back-and-forth game. Even with how Clubhouse ended, I had that feeling in the back of my mind this was going to be 3-3.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think overtime is starting to creep up. I think the writing is starting to be seen on the walls, but we're just not there yet. I think a 3-3 defensive half, especially after how Clubhouse went, is a really good start for Fisher, but also attacking Bank can have its own difficulties. Mir being taken off the board, Zombie more than likely coming up. I am curious to see if we're going to see a Habana earlier on, and it's a Habana and Cade. Makes a lot more sense. I think Fisher, I really like that encouragement and confidence to just go, let's not do anything crazy. I mean, I think a Zombie we can deal with. Cade, especially on how much you have to worry about on those hard breaches on Bank. It's better to just get out of the way. Some teams opt to go, you know what, I think we can deal with that, the hard breach, but reality, not a lot of them can, but I really do like that, a confidence pick there from Fisher.
And I know the Mira is a pretty classic take off the board, but I like that as well. I think Fisher just trying to play straight up, trying to divvy up as much angles as they can, and especially on this attacking side, trying to exert their force. In the second half, though, of map number 1, Akron Gold was able to go 4 straight. I mentioned overtime as a possibility, and you know what? I'm here for as much Rainbow Six Siege as we can muster. But Akron Gold has looked really good, especially on this defensive side, working off of each other, trading bodies for more bodies. So it really is up to Fisher to see if they can execute their game plan.
And you can already see that Akron, their philosophy for this defense is just information on all ends of the spectrum. Getting information from themselves with that Maestro and Valkyrie, but also denying information with that Mute. We didn't see a Maestro be played once, not even an Echo coming out from Fisher White. And I think Akron really understands the importance of having a really good oversight, especially on a map or a bomb site rather, like CO and Meeting, where you almost always have to have an eye, but it's NECC to get a really good first opening pick. DMR and DMR damage, but yet again, Warrior getting that claw back, taking Miz off the board. He has been the constant in those trades for Akron.
Mathematical certainty now with double-digit kills. Trade through the boxes. Rushies predicts it and gets the kill on the Crimsons. So 2 early blood trades for Fisher White. They have never trailed in player count in this round so far. And they're going to try and exert their effort in towards almost Warrior. You know you damaged him a little bit. Popping off the extra utility to Garner. Nice shot angle. NECC is able to take him down. Fisher is up 2 players.
Tango and Void also completely disconnected. So if they want to go for those ISO gunfights, that could be huge. Have to be careful of Void inside of Elevator. He has the ping and the notification from that beeper. But you also have Tango completely alone. Even with a couple of missed shots, Rushy's there to get the trade. Finds the second one on to Tango. And it's Fisher White to not only get back the lead, but also get a very first on their attack.
Dokkaebi and the Lions are available in that secondary phase. It just feels too easy for Fisher after those early kills. NECC just slicing and dicing. I love the genuine need to find more and more impressive angles as the day has gone on, and showcasing that, you know, they can hold the lead as well. This offense finally finding a groove.
Collegiate is very curious to me, and I don't say this as a jab, but a lot of teams, and I've spoken to a lot of, I've spoken to NECC specifically when she's played on the main Fisher roster, and she also somewhat agrees that this top bomb site is just horrible to defend, and still some way, somehow, Collegiate teams find themselves consistently. This is 2 back-to-back rounds where Fisher, or not Fisher, but Akron are saying to themselves that, yeah, we want to go back up here, even though we have the option to go down below. And to be fair, that last round was just NECC picking off 3 isolated kills. You need to be a lot more cautious of your surroundings and your positioning, and I think they can change that up here. But again, it is a lot of confidence, but is it going to be ill-advised?
And I think that confidence is somewhat matched with, I mean, you have players like Warrior, like Arv, who are on such high kill counts that their confidence, and I assume the team's confidence, has to be through the roof. But you lose this round, you've only got 2 more to give after that. Fisher, of course, trailing in the series so far. Lost that 7-3 on Clubhouse. They do need to win here if they want to force a map number 3 on Chalet. We got to win that one as well if they want to win the entire series. And just some feelers early as NECC is pestered away.
I really love the confidence for Warrior here because, man, I am not playing this angle against the DMR. But somehow, I mean, he just lights her up, continues to put pressure on her. I mean, this is the exact same angle, so this is something that they're expecting. But 30 seconds in that gunfight, Rushies, he's able to take that position inside of open, catch Warrior on the fall back to the bomb site. Sure, it played out differently, but it's the same story of Fisher getting that opening kill onto a very influential player. That's also a C4 off the board.
Double-digit kill count of Warrior will have to wait until the next round to try and find its effort. The question is going to be, I really want to see what Fisher White do with this break open. They've got the slicer angle in towards the A. It is going to be Crimson's who is just watching over it, making sure no one else is going to push over too far. It is under 90 seconds to go for Fisher White. It just feels like NECC has so many window angles to continue to search and look on in. You talk about that top floor. Why it's so hard is there is just so much openness to watch over.
As trying their best to take a lot of space. Nobody playing immediately over by this stock position. Not but anybody even in the hallway. So sure, it is going to be a lot of space given, but not going to be really useful in that sense.
Running out of time, though, as Crimson's finds another. Akron Gold losing members here, and they might just run out of time. It just feels like there's so many players on the watch, on the look, but Arva's going to find one. Advantageous position as they set up this cross. Those doorways still unable to be broken in, but it's going to be Arv that's dropped on down into a resible scenario, but the other two just have to play their marker. Arv fully dead now. On the search, Tango pulls up the backup shotty. Voight's got the kill as well, and we're into a 2v2. Now the diffuser was faked from Fisher White. Eventually they're going to need time to put it on down, and I want to run out of time. That diffuser is going. Miz drop to the ground. No way. Akron Gold win the round.
That Maestro coming in handy. 10 seconds on the board. A player inside of Janitors. There is nowhere for that planter to go. They have no other option but to stick. A phenomenal round from Akron, just lasting through the fire, understanding that even with all the pressure, a 2v4 deficit for them. The Fisher didn't really have any way to get that plant down. A really good play from that player inside of Janitors, swinging with a shotgun on the player that's trying to take that space. As soon as you get that gunfight, the entire back pressure over by Square and Stock is removed. And that's when you completely flip the control into the hands of the defense. I was going to talk about how playing back-to-back bomb sites was going to be a very dangerous decision for Akron, but it worked in their favor. Crossing off their X's, changing the small mistakes, and understanding that if they just waited, Fisher wasn't going to be able to take enough map space in time.
They just had that patience. It
Yeah.
put him like a fish in an electrical storm there at the end. Just gave him no chance to escape. Now we're all knotted up 4-4, as it should be. A tied-up matchup between two premier Division I programs that entered today 1-0. And yet we go back to this 5v5. NECC and Rushy so often has been the spearhead to enter on in. You wonder when the rest of the Fisher White crew are going to step up. Only a combined 7 kills between the other 3 of them. For Akron, it seems like their defense and adaptations have worked, but as they swap bomb sites now, Fisher has a real chance to exploit it.
Rushy's finding a lot of space, already making his way up blue stairs. He could cut off this extension from the defense. They don't have a whole lot of information, just full sprinting. He finds the head of Crimson's, and this is going to be a warning sign to Warrior on that top floor. He's going to have to completely try and rotate his position. Here's NECC on the rappel. He is able to take her off the board. You can open that hatch to give him a possibility, a different avenue, a way out, but he understands that he can play upstairs. He can take a lot of the pressure away from his teammates on that bomb site and draw the attention away onto him and potentially even find a second one.
Warriors' health isn't phenomenal. And as you mentioned, kind of pulling rushies up towards this section. Hiding behind some of the extra coverage that lies around, and there's a lot of time wasted. Still with 90 left to go, though. Fisher White, a couple of big decisions to make as they encroach down the stairway. You see Arv almost on a lurking angle as well. Warrior still searching to find that extra kill. 11 kills on today's matchup in round number 2. It does feel like Fisher White, though, just need to make a move sooner rather than later.
Yeah, yet again, that just slow moving from the could punish them. Impact there. That's the player on the hatch. Everybody else is on blue stairs. Rushies is all the way over at main lobby. They were not prepared to lose that player. Warrior doing huge damage, and they're not entirely sure where he still even is.
Just rotary. Move it, groove it, groove it. Akron Gold continue to shake things up, and Fisher White have to go now. Hard breach coming in. We approach 30 seconds left to go, but it's just another laser beam fest. Rushies trade 1 for 1 as a still player advantage for Akron Gold. We've hit 30 seconds left to go, but the bullet reload from Tango rips them off an angle. Miz, Zach, they've got to do it themselves, but they've got to wait for this fire to extinguish itself, and as soon as they walk in, there's going to be a double clearance going their way. Diffuser planted, C4 hits, Miz dropped to the deadline, and Arv cleans the round. Akron Gold go back to back.
Akron starting to clean things up here on Bank, and that overtime is starting to wane. That's back-to-back rounds where Fisher get that opening kill, but then just waste their own time because they don't have enough information on the players still playing away from the bomb site. And even with that kill from Warrior, 2 kills for that, it was still ending up at 3v3, but they didn't waste that utility. They didn't burn those Goyo canisters on the bomb site, and they just didn't have enough time to plant. That's back-to-back rounds where they didn't have enough time. Taking that Valkyrie, yet again, trying to take away as much information, but also doing the same on attack, getting that Dokkaebi off the board. But I don't think either of those operators are really going to affect what's happening, specifically for what Fisher White is doing. Obviously, you're not going to have that Dokkaebi on the board, but I don't think that Dokkaebi was going to do a lot of heavy lifting in that mid-round.
Not as much as you'd think, and you know, you go back to time, as much as we talk about just the execute didn't hit as soon as it could. I mean, I value that almost all to Warrior. You ripped like 30 to 45 seconds just of them searching for you, and even when they searched for you, it was extra kills going your way. Fisher White, this feels like the pivotal round. You don't want to give overtime guarantee, and not only map point, but match point over to Akron Gold because they won Clubhouse earlier today.
5 seconds remaining.
And I'm also gonna, I don't want to call it out specifically,
Attackers are moving to
but
defuse the
I
bomb.
mean, aside from those can openers on Miz, I don't fully understand bringing that 0. I mean, sure, you know, information game is a problem, but there is no flank watch because, I mean, back-to-back rounds where you have Warrior just retaking space and getting 2 kills, that just shouldn't be happening. And if they're able to use it here, then, you know, that's really great. I think it's a good addition. The problem is, with all this information, they still aren't able to shut down these flanks.
Arv is going to die, though, first to a headshot, and Pass has been relatively huge in some of those late round scenarios, but just hasn't showed up here in map number 2 as much as Fisher would have liked them to. So that early kill, you talk about confidence. Taking down a player like Arv, who is right on the horizon of double-digit kills himself, feels good, especially because Warriors down to aggressive nature from the Fisher crew has earned them a 5v3.
Crimson side of Tellers. Got Tango and Staff, and then Void all the way in the basement. All 3 players completely disconnected. This top floor, completely in control of Fisher. To be able to walk around, they got plenty of time to play around with minute and 40 in their pocket to set up this vertical. A little bit of information rush. He's just not able to get that Maestro And a lot for Fisher to do. And a lot for Akron to do. Do they want to try and retake up those stairs, or do they just want to sit on this bomb site and yet again hope that Fisher wastes enough time for these defender positions to work in their favor? But I don't think that's going to happen, especially controlling these Maestros and still a minute on the board to play with. That time is not going to be a problem for Fisher.
With the openness of Bank, it's definitely expected that you're able to run it in quickly. For Crimson's down below the halfway HP marker, match is going to be busted open as well. The fragmentation will open up some of the extra sight lines to the floorboards, but Rushies takes down Tango as well. A player and a half. Void gets one. And maybe that could slow him down. I like the isolation angle. Playing in the cubicle, a 9-to-5 job for the two players as they continue to work overtime. Fisher White down another. Crimson's incredible sets of shots. Puts it into a 2v3.
Crimson needs another one. Void. He's also hoping that somebody goes down these marble stairs, but it doesn't look like anybody is. So it's just essentially a 1v3 that Fisher are going to isolate quite well.
Like Void's spot, though. Even in 15 seconds left to go, this is something...
Where's the Fisher?
I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. Fizz gets the kill, gets the headshot. They say we'll worry about that later. Earned win from Fisher off of those early kills. And we have got a tied up 5-5 map.
Wow, that's insane. I'm pretty sure that last Akron player was not aware that Fisher didn't have the defuse. And I think it was very far away from them, because in that position they were playing for that final kill. They were not playing to get that plant down. If Maestro just unbeknownstly hooked himself away, could have been 6-4. But nonetheless, oh my god, Akron just does not want to play basement, man. I mean, going back up to the CO position, they're not going to be able to play that basement. Already lost open area. They don't want to go back there again. So they're going to be taking us back upstairs to the CO bomb site. Won it once, lost it once. So 50-50 win rate so far here against Fisher. And a lot to change. Not too much change there from Akron. Also not too much change here from Fisher. But they're going to be bringing the Sens. I do really like that. It opens a lot more capability for them to wedge themselves into that bomb site. And broke my rule again. It's Brava.
Always have to say something, and then they love to change it up on us. But this is a really pivotal round. You talk about round 11. One of these two teams guaranteed overtime on the horizon, and Rushies 15 kills in this map is pulling up on the Ash. A chance to really break open anything that is in front of them. The barriers, and like we said, Warrior just unable to win the 1v1. Rushies getting the better of them.
Yeah, Rushies going full world eater right now. 16 and 8. He is that heavy hitter that Fisher needed. When they need him most, he shows up. Another also opening kill that Warrior falls down to. You're not going to lose a whole lot of utility. Those Maluzi Wop Wops are going to be placed down, but you are going to lose a very influential and impactful player. And yet again, no immediate trades. While the trade game has been decent for both teams, the quickness of it hasn't just been there quite yet.
It's mostly because Warrior kind of went out on their own and called for it. Confidence, as you mentioned, with the 12 kills in the back pocket. I mean, who wouldn't be confident on today? This is such a pivotal round. Long shots coming through from R. It's only damage, but damage is nice. Pass is going to be able to do exactly to their namesake. Pass through all of those bullets that were flying in front of them. And Crimson's, I love the position. We'll see if they end up clearing it out or if they bite in trying to go forward. Big news is Fisher's only got 90 seconds left.
They are aware of that position. NECC is going to take him down. Pass tries to take some position right outside of stock. Akron, they need a kill, something, anything to claw back this man count and remove the pressure off of their shoulders.
And boy, there is pressure there. Arv has a lot to deal with, and taking those single shots, EMR often very deadly. Arv, we talk about the kill count, they have two. But Fisher just has so many numbers here. You wonder if it comes down to a timing thing. Fast has got another kill, so time doesn't even matter at this point. Void has to 1v5, and some chip damage is all they will truly get. And Diffuser is going to go down here, and Rushies makes it flawless. Fisher, what an answer.
Yeah, those Maestros not going to come into effect with a minute and 10 and a 5v1. Fisher, they take back that momentum, but most importantly, for the very first time in this best of 3, they are in a position to win a map. Warrior disconnected. Can we count on Rennie? Oh, Rennie the GOAT. Pauses just in time. Get a little bit of a pause, a tech pause, not a tactical pause. So these teammates, in theory, should not be allowed to talk to each other. But, digression on, whether or not all players follow those rules. We understand. But I think this is a position where Akron, it slows down their momentum. Or Fisher, rather. It allows Akron to have a little bit of a breather. Whether or not they talk to themselves or not, they are able individually to think about their wrongdoings and what they can correct going into our last round of regulation.
I think for Akron, there's a lot to think about, like you said, kind of as a solo player. I think specifically you look at Warrior, someone who died first in that last round. You kind of maybe step back a little bit. If that's your play style to go forward, sure, but you're talking about Fisher White 1 round away from sending it to a third map. Now, obviously, third map will be Chalet if necessary. Fisher White so far this season 0-1 on Chalet, but boy, their offense especially has looked really good. We talked about adaptations of Akron Gold kind of changing around from that specific CEO site. They've done a really good job to adapt back on the Fisher side and be able to bring a lot of force, a lot of speed, and especially Rushies is having a huge confidence-boosting performance.
Yeah, I think there was no doubt in Rushies' ability, but, I mean, when you got 400 ping, man, there's only really so much you can do. Whoa, Warriors back, yay! And we got ours, we're going to be able to start soon. Going back down to that lockers CCTV position, it is all about time wasting. Fisher, I think they're well read up enough. I think they're deep enough to this second map, max regulation. We're now 11 rounds and going into our 12th. So I don't think you're going to be able to hide yourself away if you're Warrior or another roamer for the defense and then get 2 kills unbeknownst. I think Fisher is going to be prepared for that as they're also bringing that Nomad. But in transition, I talked about this on the very first round for Akron on their defense, on the lack of for Fisher on theirs, was that Echo. For the last round, they'll be bringing it out, and I really like that. Sometimes people will, criticize, like, oh, why didn't you bring it earlier? But because they brought it so late the very last round, it's not going to be something that not only Fisher is expecting, but necessarily mentally prepared to play against.
10 seconds left before insertion.
And it could be something that shakes things up and sends us off to overtime.
5 seconds left before insertion.
I like Rushies pulling out the Deimos, kind of playing lots of different things here today, showing the operator pool depth and showcasing that they can be ready for any sort of scenario. But Akron Gold, this is it. It's either a Fisher map victory or overtime is where we're headed. And really for Rushies and NECC, I'm excited to see where they play from. Not only have they been, again, the spearhead so many times to explode open and grab some of those early first bloods, but playing together has been key. The cubicle setups for Akron Gold is looking good.
Here comes Rushies full sprinting his way down square stairs, taking up a lot of space, but map space that has been vacant for Akron. This is purposeful map space that they're not playing into. A very heavy extension, but with those barricades, the player playing inside of elevator hallway, it's not easily accessible. You can't just immediately run in, force these gunfights. There's a lot of soft walls, a lot of barricades to go through. You also have ARB inside of one of these elevator hatches. So even with all this information, you're still going to have to go through all this utility and all this setup. And Warriors has his back turned. And Rushies with yet another opening kill in the round, just one away from a 20 bomb.
The 12 kill monster on the other side is slaughtered, at least for regulation. Fisher White with a player advantage, and especially with that information gain, you saw them grab where Crimson's was. Now Rushies and the crew just slowly working and slowly moving their way down the stairs, and this round developing nicely like a roast in the pot. 8 hours on dry here for Fisher White as they eat nicely.
I still have a decent amount of information on the site. Doesn't look like anybody's inside of garage. That's gonna be a lot of free space that Rushies is just gonna be able to take, and that's really worrying if you are Akron, because I mean that's space you don't want to give up. Tech already going for the defuse actually.
Looking in behind enemy lines there. Diffuser is going down, and
Does he not know?
Akron Golder soon gonna realize it. Will get the delay, and it is going to be the kill as well with a C4. So great 1-2 combo puncher, and now the diffuser is actually in quite an interesting spot. Rushy's going, activating the diffuser back as well, but Tango and Arv have made it into a 3v2. Diffuser not down, 30 seconds to go, and Miz gets another kill. Tango's shotgun is on fire, and Akron turns it into a 2v1. They've got to hit the reloads. Annika for the clutch, but no, we're going to overtime.
Akron is stunning all that movement in a back and forth round. 50 seconds left on the clock. Both teams hitting the go button. I thought that lurk inside a garage from Rushies was going to be round over, but he misses the shots onto the mute, and somehow the mute switches from the SMG-11 mid gunfight, whips out the Mossberg, and just domes him in the head. I mean, that is a gunfight that mute, even in that last 1v1 with Tango and Annika, you just shouldn't have won that. So again, you know, obviously missed opportunities for Fisher White, but a continued theme of Akron taking advantage of what is in front of them, and because of that, they still have the opportunity to end it here on B. And they get defense.
Yeah, they start on defense. Fisher will start on offense. And again, if you just joined us from the mainstream over covering some Rocket League, Akron leads Fisher 1-0, sending it to overtime off of a critical round 12 victory. Fisher is going to have to devise a plan, and Warrior died first that round, and Akron Gold stepped up around him, being able to still win that round after losing what was your top kill performer. Is such a huge motivation now. Fisher will see what they can do in this attacking side.
I hate to do this, but the same thing I said on Clubhouse is you cannot have your entire dependence and your entire win factor fall onto one player. Nobody on Fisher, aside from Rushies, is even. Not even talking about positive. Annika, she's close. She's about 2 kills away there. But as soon as Rushies dies, I mean, a lot of that momentum is just away from Fisher. And I also think that's something that Akron understands. And to be fair, Annika does her very best to try and take space, try and create a lot of that opportunity. But a lot of the time, she is almost immediately traded. That's something that Rushies doesn't necessarily have a problem with. So going into overtime, especially if we're talking about a long-distance 3-mapper, you're going to need somebody else, maybe a third player to step up, or maybe Annika to have a little bit more success.
They put Rushies actually over on the Twitch for this round, so it's going to be Warriors taking them down. Marksman Rifle says no. Crimson says yes. 2 for 1 quickly. Fisher White trying to battle their way back, but Arvis pushing forward. Miz is trying to take space down the hatch, but they are cut off. The barriers guiding them away, and with only 90 seconds to go, Fisher is scrambling.
A very, I don't want to say healthy man count, but you have a 1-man advantage. But more importantly, I mean, there's just been so much time wasted and so much more work for Fisher to do. Still do have 3 can openers, so you're going to be able to open that. But you still have those Goyos on the bomb site. You still have a C4 in the pocket of Tango. 3 smokes and Crimson in that Echo drone. It is going to need kills, at least 2, if Fisher want to try and get that plant down safely, and that's something they understand, especially with this positioning inside of open. More than likely going for that hatch drop and try and get Tech into a position where he can plant that isn't default inside of A.
You drop down that hatch. You risk something else, so like you called, rotate comes in. 40 seconds left to go here. Crimson's in is ready to go as the hard breaches will come on through. Tech will waiting for the burn down to come on in. Angles are there. They're trying to get this down, and they are just going to be immediately poisoned out of the site. Under 30 to go now, but that's a good burn of the utility. Fisher have to go fast now. It's a drop down from Miz. There's a kill traded by Crimson. Can they get the space back in this first round of overtime? The crossfire is just too dirty. The poison is just too tasty. Akron Gold holding it down. The fire continues to go. It'll burn down Techwell. And now there is just no chance. Akron Gold will hide into the shadows as they win overtime round 1.
I mean, there's a lot of power in Akron's hands. I mean, because you go to the same bomb site, you understand the not only exact same problems. Even if Akron wasn't going into that late round with a one-man advantage, even if they were in a disadvantage, even if they were 5v4 the round before, with all that utility in their pocket and how much time Fisher wasted and continues to waste on these attacking rounds here on map 2, I mean, Akron knows to just sit back and wait for them to go for that execution. They don't need to play. They don't need to try and retake space and apply more of that pressure from trying to go and force those gunfights. You just fall back behind those smoke babes, those Goyo canisters on the bomb site. And on top of that, your Warrior and his teammate on that roam got 2 kills that were untraded until late in the mid-round. And it is, yet again, a worrying sight for Fisher.
Doing everything right, the Zips have a chance to do it here. Ends up being round number 14. Fisher needs a win if they want to extend out that overtime as well. It feels like what they're bringing is good, but it's actually a switch up where Warrior's going to be traded over to the Buck. Arv bringing the Deimos, but they've also just got so much ability to flip a switch and go quick, which I feel like, Goose, is what Akron has done so well today.
Yeah, I think their willingness to change up their momentum and their pace in a split second is really good, and it has been one of the main contributing factors of why they've been able to get so many opportunities, why they've been able to find so many picks in that late round, especially when they're in a man deficit. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword that Akron has been using in their favor, almost overstepping, over-aggressing when they have an advantage or when they have map control. And the worst time is not only when you make mistakes, but when your opponents know you're making them.
And when they can play off of that, when they have that information, Akron Gold, such a great spot to be in. But it comes down to this round 14. Gotta put the pavement down to the road here for Fisher White and see what you can do, especially with rushies. I know we've talked about the solo effort so many times, but that broken record needs to play a beautiful melody once again.
Akron taking it very slow. Arv is able to find an easy entry onto rushies. I talked about it. The star player, the world eater for Fisher. Off the board, and you sacrifice absolutely nothing. You don't waste any utility. No trade coming out from Fisher. And plenty of time to set up this vertical before you hit the site.
Talk about time. I mean, still 90 seconds left to go in the round. Akron Gold surging here, trying to play off of this man advantage for the win. This would be the series ender if they're able to win this round. And boy, they've looked like it. Their fight back, winning that extra. Kate is going to be the target of Deimos here, and that extra information, once again, could be huge.
Ping on to Miz. They have a lot of info, but they just need to find a way to get into the bomb site, and you still have Pass inside of Archives who could play a spoiler, especially going into this office drop.
Ooh. This is dead. Spikes are going to eat away at the health bar, though. Monica's now got to be very careful. 1 or 2 bullets will do them in anyways if it's not a headshot. Techwell has left the game.
No.
A disconnect at the worst possible moment. Arv gets the kill, and it feels like it is just waiting time. Tango gets another. Miz must do it all. A 1v3 for the game. The long angle will be beneficial. Takes down at least a little bit of the Warrior remaining HP. But no diffuser, 20 HP, and that's it. Akron Gold is inevitable. They win it in overtime.
Here in our Group B in Week 2, Fisher is going to be the team that drops down in that 1-1. Not only does Akron continue flawless in their overall games, but they also have not dropped a map yet. Both their matches here last week and here against Fisher for 2-0 victories, continuing that dominance, even with a little bit of struggle there on Bank. Fisher started to claw things back. Akron were able to sweep things under the rug and finish it off here.
I think for both these two teams, it's a really good showcase match to see, what actually is going to be the strategies we need to change. If I'm Akron or Fisher, I'm actually kind of happy I'm playing this match in week 2 rather than like 6 or 7 right before playoffs start to hit. For Akron, definitely changes to be made, but from what was a week number 1, winning both of their maps 7-3 and then coming in and beating a monster program like Fisher, it only speaks good things. And hopefully Fisher, I know, dealing with some disconnect issues here and there, still played as best as they could and brought it to overtime against Akron. I think they have got a lot of really good things that they can take away.
Yeah, I think we still, even with this loss, even with Bapel, and we saw a lot of great things from Fisher, a lot of great things there from Rushies, but I mean, everything is on his shoulders. Annika did her best, but I mean, nobody else really showing up, so that's something that they're going to have to focus on and try to change.
Well, it is an Akron W here towards the end, obviously, like we talk about. Both these two teams will be in action in their week number 3, but actually next week we're going to get to showcase some Counter-Strike here in week number 3. So if you're a fan of that, make sure not only you're hitting the follow button here on NECC2, but NECC_games. Follow the X at NECC Games as well. And, check out tomorrow. We've got some amazing League of Legends, one of my personal favorite esports. So from our entire team here, it has been just a phenomenal broadcast. Really appreciate all of you, all the teams for stepping on in. A huge shout out to Rennie and Time Delight running the background production and observing. But for Goose, for Llama, and our entire NECC crew, we say thank you and hope you have a great night.